What's going on, guys? I'm Leonard from Shoe Wear, and today we're going back in time to check out Kawhi Leonard's first shoe with New Balance, the New Balance OMN1S or OMN1, however you say it, in this first light colorway. Let's get it. Alright, so now let's go ahead and check out the box and the price for these before we get into the actual review itself. So these are going to come in exactly the box you would expect any New Balance dad shoe to come in, with this basic red box. So that's a little bit tragic to say the least, because one of my favorite things about getting new sneakers is opening up that cardboard box and pulling the shoe box out. It just like kind of builds my excitement for the shoes that are on the inside. And then for these, the cardboard box that these came in is pretty much just as cool as this red shoe box. So I'm not really going to waste any of your time for what this box looks like, because you've probably seen it before. But for the price on these were retailing for $140, which is relatively high for a player's first signature shoe. But, you know, that could be for a number of reasons. New Balance does tend to run on the higher end for shoes in general, and a lot of that is because of the quality in their shoes. But this is also, you know, a really well-constructed shoe, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. And then, of course, Kawhi Leonard is already an NBA Finals MVP and like an NBA champion. So you kind of have that to work with too. And then after all, it's still going to be middle of the pack, kind of compared to the entire field for basketball shoe pricing. But that covers the box and the price on these, so let's move on. All right, so before I test these out on the court, let's check out the appearance and the design for these first. So I always love the first signature shoe line for players because it's really the only time that you have nothing to build off of and everything is created from the ground up. Because, of course, moving forward, most of the time, each new shoe in a line is going to pull from similar designs and materials from that previous shoe. But this, just for the overall design on these, I am a major fan. And this is coming from someone who really doesn't like Kawhi Leonard that much at all. He did send my Golden State Warriors home in 2019. Insert bandwagon comments below here. But in all seriousness, I do just like players who play basketball. You know, they play the game with a lot of emotion and just have a lot of fun. And then for this guy, I think I've seen him smile twice. And I think he laughed in an interview like once. And it sounded like he was even surprised at what it felt like to laugh. But this is not a Kawhi Leonard hate review. So this is all just in good fun, because at the end of the day, this guy is easily a top 5 player on the planet when healthy. And no amount of playful jabs at his personality is going to change that. But enough of that. So let's go ahead and just get back to the shoe. So I do, like I was saying, I really do like the appearance for these. It's pretty unique and it came out really good in my opinion. So this is the first light colorway, like I mentioned, and it's not my favorite colorway for these, but it's still a really nice look. I especially liked how they mismatched the colorways. Not that it really matters at all, but I do like the look on this left shoe with like the yellow base a little bit more than the one on the right. But I mainly say that I don't love this colorway just because I don't like shoes that have a solid black like outsole and midsole. It's just, I've obviously never really been a fan of that. I mentioned that in a bunch of my reviews. I don't really know why. I'm just kind of partial, or I guess unpartial, to shoes that look like that. But I do like the flash orange and yellow color scheme that kind of appears on this upper. I think it's almost more pink than orange, but it still looks pretty clean. And then my favorite part specifically about this shoe line is the band that kind of runs along the back side. That's a pretty unique touch that I'll go a little deeper into in the performance section and the material section, but it gives these a pretty cool look. And then the same thing with that little New Balance band that kind of runs across the middle of the shoe. And then to finish up the design, the shoe line name does show up on the tongue of these shoes, so to kind of round out the whole thing. So after all of that, you may be a little confused on how I feel about these. So just to sum up this section, I don't like Kawhi Leonard. I do respect Kawhi Leonard a lot. I don't like this colorway too much, but I like the overall design for this shoe a lot. So now that I've made it to the end of this section, let's talk about what you actually came here to see, and let's check out how these hold up on the court. All right, so for the last half of this review, I'll combine the materials, the comfort, the traction, just basically how these do for performance. So starting off with cushioning for these, These are made up of what New Balance calls a fuel cell foam, primarily in that midsole, which gives you a really nice and soft feel for these shoes. And it's not going to be as squishy or as soft as some Nike shoes for comfort, but that is going to increase the response time that you have playing in these shoes, which I do like. So expect some minimal break-in time on these. And then moving up the shoe from there, I do want to kind of hit on the upper, but before I do, something weird about the upper on these, or I guess more specifically around this ankle, is that there isn't going to be a pull tab up there that's going to be keeping that band in place. So the band can kind of start to slide around whenever you're trying to put these shoes on. I have seen some complaints, or maybe more so concerns about that, but I didn't really mind it necessarily because the tongue on here is super stretchy. It's made out of a really stretchy material. So as long as you pull that forward and you hold the shoe back, I mean, you won't really have any problems. But, you know, at the same time, I do feel like that would have been something easy for New Balance to fix if they wanted to. But other than that specific part on these, I really do like how they constructed the upper on these shoes. So New Balance did use a fit weave upper, which is just some like knitting that makes this a really breathable shoe. And it feels like, or you would kind of think with this fit weave material, that it might be a little bit too loose and allow your foot to slide around, but it's actually not at all. They give you a really locked in feel. And then they even put this like honeycomb design over the top. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know what the actual name is, but what it's going to do is help keep these shoes intact if you get like stepped on or if it gets dragged across, anything like that. It's sort of just an added layer of durability. And then sticking with the support topic right now, these do have an ultra heel, which is going to give you some ankle stability. And the nice thing about these is that it's just about right. Like your ankle is not going to be stuck, like allowing you to not really move. But at the same time, it gives you just enough to where you can freely move and not feel like you're going to fall or slip outside of the shoe. And then these shoes, they do a really good job of covering from sliding out, like I was just mentioning. Thanks to this piece on the outside, this little outrigger with the ridges and the straight lines and stuff, that as long as you have your right size, there shouldn't be anything to worry about with slipping out of these shoes. And then jumping down to the bottom of these shoes, the traction pattern on these is crazy good. So this herringbone pattern is going to allow you to stop on a dime. They grip the floor so well. And then herringbone is just kind of the name of this pattern that's used. Kind of more simply put, it's what it looks like whenever you have these arrows set up in this form. It's going to be like parallel lines kind of running across each other, and then you're going to have that slope in the middle. This is just a really good design that gives you multi-directional coverage, and it's just going to enhance the traction for this shoe. And New Balance uses some pretty durable rubber on the bottom of these as well. So, of course, that's going to help these hold up over time very well for both indoor and outdoor courts. And then to finish up with sizing, that is where these are a little bit different than your typical Nike, Jordan, and like Adidas basketball shoes, some of those major brands. So I guess similar to Adidas in most cases, these do run a little bit big. So you may want to experiment going a half size down. I went true to my size as always for reference, and I had a little extra room to play in my toes, enough to where I think I could have gone a half size down and been a little bit better off. But what's cool about these shoes specifically is that New Balance does something most major brands don't do, which is offer a regular fit like I got for the sizing. But if you'd like to look at these, you can also get a wide fit as well. So I would recommend these overall for performance because they check out so well. So all in all, Kawhi Leonard's first shoe with New Balance was a major success, and I would expect more of the same to follow. All right, so that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and performance review on the first shoe for Kawhi Leonard with New Balance in this first light colorway. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you're interested in purchasing these shoes, check out the link in our description below. Also, be sure to click the link in our bio, and from there you can find our shoes that are available for sale on our website. You can also head over to our social media just to stay informed on upcoming sneaker releases. And then last, just feel free to leave a comment below if you like this review, or just let us know any of the shoes you may want us to check out. But until next time, peace.